topic. This is going back to a time when I did my 200-day juice fast very, very early on. This is when I got to day 7 of my first ever fast, detox, cleanse, whatever you want to label it as. This is my very first time. I have to make it clear, this is my very first time of doing anything like this to the magnitude that I did it at consciously. So there might have been times in my life where I may have gone a period, maybe like a day, for whatever reason, but I don't recall. But yeah, this is me taking you back to a time very early on in my juice fast. This was in 2021. So it's been over 5 years now. And I think I've mentioned it many times. I came across juice fasting, juice feasting by someone called John Rose, and I'd highly advise you to check him out on YouTube. I know the videos are quite old, but nevertheless old but very gold. They're very golden. And I guess ultimately that's what kind of started me on my journey of detoxification, especially when it comes down to juicing. So yeah, I guess around that time as well, I wasn't suffering or anything like that with any sort of health conditions or health problems. I've mentioned many times that I came into this lifestyle through curiosity, definitely curiosity. And yeah, I guess it's changed my life in a massive way, if I was to reflect upon the last 5 years. So yes, at the beginning, very, very early stages, I had made my mind up. I made a decision of going 3 days on a juice fast. I had a juicer at home. Around that time, my mum had brought this juicer, and it was a centrifugal juicer. And for those that are unfamiliar with juicers, you get a centrifugal juicer, which is a juicer, a high-speed juicer. It's one of those ones where you put the fruit in, it has blades at the bottom, and it just spins very fast, and then it shoots out the juice. So I was working with what I had. I wasn't going to invest in anything that I guess I didn't really know too much about, but I thought, let me just try something and see how it goes. I remember just before starting my juice fast, this was during lockdown, I was doing a fruit and veg box delivery service around Birmingham. So I'd be going to the wholesale market every week anyway, buying the produce. And then, I was collecting orders online. I had a website. At the time, it was called Creating New Colors. And yeah, I was offering a fruit and veg box delivery service. And I'd already been familiarized with the store holders at the market holders. I built up a relationship with them over time. So I was getting, produce at a good price. I guess that's kind of, where I started buying my produce from, the wholesale market in Birmingham. And around this time, there was restrictions as well, because I remember going there and, they was asking me for like identification on, if you've got a business, because it was only businesses that were able to go to the wholesale market around that time, just so that they can stop and prevent the spread of what. So yeah, so then I guess I brought like a whole box of boxes of a variety of different fruit and vegetables. I remember vividly that I had limes, I had carrots, I think I had some like greens. Literally, I was just getting whatever I could get. I didn't know anything about food combining. I knew nothing for nothing. I was literally going in kind of semi-blind, although I had been watching John Rose's videos before, I guess, starting my juice fast. So yeah, I remember starting, felt good. I was in lockdown. I was furloughed from work, so I didn't have to go into work. And I was getting paid for being at home, which was beautiful. And yeah, I started my juice fast journey, and every single day I was juicing everything fresh. And I was able to, consume it. It was sunny, it was hot around this time. It was around March, end of March when I started, I think. And yeah, I did the first day. felt pretty cool. Can't really remember if I had any like belly aches or, you know, but I remember for a while I was still having those, you know, when your belly starts turning, you know, the rumbles and stuff. And, you know, I was only associating that with hunger. So, you know, I just had more juice. At the beginning stages, I was having about maybe 2 liters of juice. And then, you know, towards the very end of my juice fast, I was consuming about 6 to 8 liters easily, because I had a lot more space to, you know, hold on to the juices because a lot of the waste had been eliminated by that point. But yeah, the first 7 days, I remember like just kind of going with the motions, going with the feels. But the biggest thing that stuck out to me was not only was I still alive by just consuming liquids, which I already knew I'd be fine about because obviously I know this John Rose guy had gone like 90 days. But for me, it was the eliminations that I was having every day. It was the fecal matter, but something wasn't adding up. I was thinking, well, I'm just consuming liquids. Why am I having such heavy, hard stuff coming out of me? And I know John Rose has been talking about, you know, how much waste we hold into our body, but I guess until you really experienced it yourself, you know, but you don't know. That's all I can say, because although I'd heard about it, you know, so I believed it, but I guess I didn't really believe it until I had my own experience. So yeah, just having the waste being eliminated, you know, day 1, same thing. Day 2, day 3 was when I guess the shift was shifting. Day 3 was, okay, it's been 3 days now and I've just had liquids that not only had been liquefied through the juicer, but I'd also sieved the juices too. So any pulp, any fibers that may have still been lingering around, you know, I reduced the exposure to consuming that by sieving all my juices. So it just didn't make sense to me how I wasn't very big, but I still had all this hard waste. So long behold, 3 days turned to 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then when I got to day 7, I think I might have had like a real big elimination. And I thought, well, I have a personality of somebody that is it's like all or nothing. It's all or nothing. This all or nothing attitude, where if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So from day 7 onwards, it was just like it was a daily thing. There was no, I'm going to get to this point. I think later on, that's when it became a thing where it was like, oh, like I'm nearly close to 30 days. I may as well just, you know, go to the 30 days. And then after the 30 days, you know, the 40s, the 50s, and it's like, oh, you know, I may as well go to 60 days and then so on and so on. But those first 7 days showed me a lot. Those first seven days showed me that literally everything I'd kind of, not everything, but like most of the things that I'd been told and taught about nutrition and the body was kind of a myth. And then I started becoming like this myth buster, where I was like debunking myths, because everything that I'd been taught and told didn't relate to what I was actually experiencing. Then I started having my own awareness. Then I started, you know, only, you know, really truly believing things that I actually like have my own personal experience of. And yeah, that was definitely an experience. That was definitely a journey. That was definitely the start of this whole awakening, which has been a continuous cycle, a continuous journey of unraveling and unfolding. And, you know, I've mentioned before that before I even started my juice fast, I was very, very heavily attached to my physical vessel, the way that I looked, the way that I appeared. You know, I was going to the gym often, I was bulking up, you know, all of these things. So I was very attached to it, and I knew that if I'm going to do this thing, then like, I'm going to have to let go. I'm going to have to let go of this idea, this illusion of, you know, how I'm meant to look. And yeah, even within that first week, it became a thing of, became a thing of, you know, the attachment to my physical vessel had definitely dissolved. And then it was almost like I then started shifting the frequency into spiritual enlightenment, because as I was cleaning out, as I was letting go, a lot of things were coming through. And when I say coming through, it's like information that was always there, but until I was at that right frequency to even be able to tap into it, that's when it showed itself to me. And that's when it, you know, everything started clicking, everything started making sense. And yeah, it slowly became a thing of, I'm not going by the number of days, and I'm not going by an image thing. It was more of a connection thing, a connection to my highest self, a connection that it's almost like I already knew, but it was almost like I was, you know, being rekindled back into that relationship with the higher self, the higher mind, the higher everything. And even to this day, like, every day is a new day. Every day gives me something different, and you know, I'm still learning. And it's just a continuous cycle of diving deeper. And it's not I don't have a drive to dive deeper necessarily, but things just keep revealing themselves to me, that it's like, okay, well, this is the next thing, and this feels right, and this feels good, and this feels like amazing. So that's how my journey's been, and that's how my journey's been unfolding. And you know, I've seen through my journey, I've shared, you know, so much of my journey that that people, you know, had been inspired by my journey, and they also then decided to go deeper within themselves, and then they had very, very similar experiences to myself. And you know, there's been many people that have had health conditions, health problems, and people think it's just a physical thing, but it's not just a physical thing. You know, the physical is connected to the mental and the spiritual. And you realize that as you start diving deeper within yourself, things start coming to surface, things that you've been holding onto, emotional stuff, traumas. And you know, as you have that elimination, you realize that, oh, it's gone, like just like that. And I'm extremely passionate about fasting and detoxification. And yes, I started my journey through juicing, and now I'm on a journey of, you know, dry fasting. And I talk a lot about dry fasting, and my experience is a lot of is about dry fasting. And you know, even now I do consume a lot of liquids. I have more herbal teas and stuff like that, as opposed to fruit juices. But I still, you know, have a lot of juices. But yeah, it's just that next level now. And of course, like when I was talking about juicing at that level, obviously it attracted many people who were also interested in juicing. And now that I'm taking it to a different level now, of course, I'm gonna probably be attracting those that are, you know, have already done the juice fasting stuff, and tapping into the dry fasting stuff now. And that's why I hold the spaces of, you know, beginners dry fasting challenges and stuff like that. I will never forget, you know, where I started. And you know, if I'll never stop talking about juicing. And you know, I think it's the most ideal, it's a perfect way to start on your journey. And you're gonna reap the rewards from doing it, as long as you're not looking to get something in particular from that. Just to stay open-minded. For those that are trying to heal something, of course, you know, you might have a harder battle, just because, you know, you may feel more restricted because you know that, you know, what you're consuming is going to have a direct effect on how you may be feeling on a physical level. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch base on, you know, how those first 7 days were for me, like when I first started my whole juicing and my whole fasting journey. Just to share a bit of light on that topic for those that may be starting juicing, or maybe toying with the idea of juicing, or doing some sort of a cleanse. And you know, I will say it again, this is the most perfect time to, you know, dive deeper into this practice while it's, you know, we're in spring or moving into summer, especially if you're in the UK. But you know, it's a journey. It's a journey that I would recommend to any and everybody. Honestly, I yeah, there's not enough things I can say about juicing or just fasting in general, because this is the key to your freedom, and that's all I'll say on that. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. And as mentioned, I have a dry fasting challenge that starts on Monday the 20th of April. And you have to be registered by the 19th of April, which is Sunday, 5 p.m. And yeah, if you feel the call, hear the call, or ready to dive deeper within self, whether you have juice fasting experience or not, this is beginners friendly, and you will be guided. And just as a reminder, it's 12 hours a day, so it's not 24 hours, it's not 7 days, completely dry with no food, no water. It's 12 hours every day. So just an example, you could do 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, or if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the day. Or for those that are more experienced, you can use this opportunity with the community to dive a little bit deeper and to go a bit longer. So you can do 16 hours plus. I personally do anything between 20 to 24 hours every day, and I feel good about doing that. So yeah, that's my invitation to you. So wherever you're watching this video, whether it's on YouTube, I'm going to save this video and then I'm going to upload it to my WhatsApp community and also Instagram as well. So if you've seen this anywhere else, then maybe someone has shared it, and you may have watched it in time or you may have missed it, but just know that I hold these dry fast challenges every month. So there will be another one, but if you are waiting for that perfect moment and that perfect time, just know that every moment and every time is the perfect time. And there's never that perfect time that you're looking for, realistically, because anytime you do something new, anytime you do something that's different, there's always going to be that internal battle with yourself. So that's just my message to you. So yeah, if you feel the call, hear the call, and feel ready, then drop me a message. Or alternatively, you can go to my website, which is nystro.co.uk, to find out more about the dry fasting challenges, or even for something more deeper, if you want to go deeper and need support. I also offer soul mirror sessions, which you'll be able to find more information about on the website, or you can check the socials. So if you go to the website, you'll see my socials on there as well. But yeah, there's many ways to connect with me. And yeah, if you feel the call, hear the call, then you're more than welcome to drop me a message. But aside from that, have a wonderful day ahead, and I will catch you on the next video.